everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast for you. This week, I went to the movies and I saw Blink Twice, which the trailer was intriguing, so I thought, let me see. And it was actually pretty good. I was surprised. There was a trigger warning before the film started, which I thought was a little excessive, although I get it because it is a little bit dark and violent, and it is a little, I can see how it would be upsetting to certain people. But basically the plot is this woman and her best friend are invited by this wealthy guy to join him and his friends on his private island for a weekend of debauchery and fun. And it starts out lovely and wonderful and a dream come true, and then of course things take a turn and there are revelations and twists and turns, and it gets very dark and violent. And it was, the story actually held together so that the things in the beginning made sense once things were revealed at the end, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what that was, okay, I get that. There are some aspects after the final revelations that don't quite hold up to scrutiny, and it's like they leave that unexplained, because to try to explain that would be very difficult because it wouldn't actually probably make sense, so you just sort of wave that off. But the cast is really good, and the story is good. It's visually really well shot, and there are some great scenes and framing and everything, and the soundtrack is terrific. Some great needle drops in there. My only complaint with it is that it's not even a long movie, but it feels longer than it is. In fact, I swear to God, I heard the guy down the aisle from me snoring at one point during the middle. Like he just fell asleep. It wasn't boring where you'd fall asleep, but it just felt like it took a little too long to get to where it was going. And it's just over an hour and a half, so it's not even like a super long movie. It just felt longer. Like the pacing just needed to be maybe tightened up a little. But that was my only real issue with it. So check it out. You can just wait for it to come to streaming. It's MGM, so it should be on Amazon in a few months. Also, speaking of Amazon, I finally finished season 1 of Fallout. Yeah, I know it took a long time. Episodes and episodes ago, I talked about how I tried it out. And my first impression of it was good, because it really captured the feel and the visuals and the humor of the games. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then the next episode or two, I was like, okay, like there's these different characters, and as you know, over the course of the couple episodes, they started coming together, and I was like, okay, this is good. But then they started to separate again, and I was just like, no, I want them together. And so then I kind of lost interest in the show, and then I sort of didn't go back very often. I went back once in a blue moon, and then finally I was like, I've only got like 3 episodes left, let me just finish this damn thing. So the other day, I finally watched the last episode of season 1, and of course, there are some answers, but then they of course leave other things completely open, and for a second season, which thankfully we're getting. But I would very much like Amazon to please, with season 2, release the episodes on a weekly schedule. Don't just drop them all at once. I never like it when they drop them all at once, because I'm not going to binge the whole thing in a weekend. I don't have time for that. I don't know who does, but people do, which is insane to me. Like, do you not have anything else to do with your day? So I can't binge them. So I will watch them whenever I get around to it, like whenever the mood strikes. And if it's something really good, then the mood will strike me more frequently, and I'll finish it quicker. But in this case, we're at the midpoint of the season, I wasn't really into it anymore. It was harder for me to get the motivation to be like, oh, let me go watch another episode, maybe it'll get better. It's like, I didn't want to just give it up, but it was difficult to go back. There were other things that I'd rather do. But I do find that when streaming channels drop things on a weekly schedule, like Amazon's Lord of the Rings or Disney's Star Wars shows, then it becomes, oh, okay, they release on, a new episode is out on Wednesday. So Wednesday, I will watch the new episode. Sometimes, like with The Acolyte, where I wasn't super into it, I will fall a little behind. But the weekly schedule reminds me, like, oh, there's a new episode. And I'm like, oh, right, I've got to catch up. You know, it keeps me on schedule. Because if it's just sitting there, all dumped at once, I'm like, well, it's there. I'll watch it when I have time. It'll be there. Except sometimes it won't, because sometimes they just decide, no, we're going to just remove that from our streaming service, even though we paid millions of dollars to make it. We're going to take it away so we don't have to continue paying residuals to the actors in production, which is shitty. But what are you going to do? That's modern television for you. So I am probably going to watch season 2. I just hope they do it weekly. That's please. As for games, I did not actually play a whole lot of No Man's Sky. Because I got sucked back into Disney Dreamlight Valley because there was a new update. They added Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, which I honestly don't really remember. I remember liking it, like it was fine. I remember liking the villain a lot. The villain, I thought, he had a song that was like super scary and I hoped it gave kids nightmares. But I will always hold a special place in my heart for Tiana because she was the final traditionally cell animated Disney princess before everything went to ugly round CGI. So I will always hold a special place in my heart for that movie. It was the final properly animated movie. So she comes along, and that of course means new things, new friendships, quests to do, and of course her first friendship quest. First, you have to put her house down because everybody new gets a house. So I put her house down in the swamp, in the glade, where she, like, it's like home. So I was like, here, there's nobody in there. Nobody lives down there. There's plenty of space in there. I could put your house there, no problem. And it wasn't too big. But then her first friendship quest was, oh, can you, I want to reopen my restaurant. So I go to place her restaurant, and it's freaking enormous. Plus, you have to build a whole outside. You have to craft a bunch of tables and chairs to make an outside seating area for her. And I'm just like, oh my god, there's no room. I rearranged some things. I moved Remy's house up into the, like, Frosted Heights, because nobody's up there really except the monsters, because I had somewhere to put the monsters, so I put them up there, because nobody's living up there. And I was just like, okay, so I can move him, and then I moved the boutique over to where Remy's house was, because I can't get rid of the boutique. I don't use it. I never use it. I never go in there, except when I have to talk to Daisy, and that happens to be where she is. So that cleared enough space for me to put down Tiana's palace and the outdoor seating area and her little food stall, which is like right next to her restaurant for to-go items. And I'm just like, oh my god. And I'm sorry, but if Disney's going to keep adding characters, each character is going to need a house in which to live. And then some of them, apparently, like Daisy and Tiana and Remy, they have a business. And you have to place that too. And I'm like, the game won't let you get rid of buildings. Like, I could probably get rid of her outdoor seating area and the game wouldn't ding me for it. Like, I don't think it would care. As long as the building is there. Because the outdoor seating area is just to look pretty. It doesn't actually serve any function. So I could probably get rid of that. But I'll leave it for now. I can get around it. But if they're going to make us keep adding buildings, they've got to expand this valley. Like, I know that there's, like, Eternity Isle, but that's the DLC, and not everybody has the DLC. I don't have the DLC yet. So it's like, they're going to need to either just make the whole valley larger in general, like, just more space in each area, or they're going to have to add an entirely new area to the valley. So maybe there's a new character maybe one of the new characters could have a new area added to the game as well. And I don't even care if I have to spend like 100,000 Dreamlight on it to get the new area, because I have tons of Dreamlight that I'm just collecting and not spending on anything because there's nothing to use it on. So, please, more space, Disney. Because also the other thing is that because there's a new character and there's like friendship quests and stuff, there's also the Dapper Delights Star Path has begun. So I basically spent a whole lot of time just checking things off the list and doing things one, boom, 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 boom. And then I realized, I was like, no, you don't have to spend all this time playing this game and doing all the things on the list, because you have plenty of time. Like the last one, I rushed through it so fast that there were like 3 weeks left with nothing to do, and I was already done with it. And I was like, I have plenty of time. They give you plenty of time. They give you well over a month to do it. It'll be fine. So, but I did keep pushing for another day or so, because I did want to get the Newsy outfit, all the pieces, and because there's not a lot, as I've said before, there's not a lot of guy clothing outfits in Disney Dreamlight Valley. It's a lot of girl stuff, girl hair, girl dresses, girl jewelry, and I'm like, guys play this too. Where's the boy clothes? Come on. So here was a new boy outfit. So I was like, I'm gonna get all the pieces of the boy outfit so I can dress up like this. And then I also had my little crocodile friend, because he's adorable. He wears a little hat and it's so cute. He's a little fast. I can't. So, so that's, I now that I have the outfit, I can kind of ease back. So maybe I'll play a little more No Man's Sky. I don't know. But the other thing that I did this week was I saw that they released a demo for Emio, the Smiling Man, which is a Famicom Detective Club game. And it's the first new one in like ages, because they had their old games that got like remastered for the Switch, and this is like a new one. And I was always curious. I never played them before, so I was curious. I was like, oh, a demo. Let me check it out and see what it's like. And I was surprised because it was very long. Like, there's a prologue and then chapter 1, and at the end of chapter 1, I thought, okay, that's the end of the demo. But then there was chapter 2, and I was like, okay, and I played through chapter 2, and it was a really long demo. I think it took me a couple hours to play. And I got to the end, and then it was like, okay, you've reached the end of this demo. But then it was like, there's going to be more. Like, we're releasing another chapter so that you can update the demo and play through another chapter. Because apparently, I looked it up, and they released the prologue in chapter 1, and then by the time I had actually gotten around to downloading the demo, chapter 2 had been released. And now, like at the end of next week, chapter 3 is going to get released. And I'll probably play it just out of curiosity and because it's there. But also, because I am curious, because I want to see if there is any other gameplay to it. Because right now, I probably would not buy this. And it's good to know this, because it means I won't buy the other Famicom Detective Club double feature game, because I have nothing against visual novels, that's fine, but for me, because it's a detective story, it's a mystery, and you're working as a detective, like you're gathering evidence and you're talking to people and gathering clues and finding out what's going on. I want to be able I thought it was going to be more like Ace Attorney, where you like put the clues together and you figure things out and then you can make your deductions. Here, it really is just cycling through. You're looking at things, you're talking to people, you're talking, and you're just trying to like find the next option in the menu that will advance the story to let you, sometimes you have to think before you can continue questioning somebody, because that creates the new prompts. And it's just a matter of like figuring that out. And you're just clicking on everything until something advances the story. And you don't feel like you're actually figuring anything out or making any actual deductions. Like at the end of the chapter, the boss is like, okay, you two, you and your female assistant detective that you work with, the two assistant detectives like go over what they've learned and make deductions. But it's basically just like, you're not actually really figuring anything out. You're just sort of saying, this is what we learned, which means this. And you get like, pick A, B, or C. And it's like, it's been very, very obvious. The only thing is that at the very end of chapter 2, it was like, I want to know more about blank. And you actually had to use the keyboard to type something in. It was obvious what it was meant to be. I was just like, do I say Emio or do I say the Smiling Man? I don't know. I said Emio, and that seemed to be fine. But you don't really... I want a little more interaction, a little more interactivity as far as solving the mystery. Just clicking through dialogue options, it's not what I want, you know? So I was a little disappointed, so I probably won't play this, but I will play the other part of the demo. I am slightly curious to know about the actual mystery, though, because it's kind of creepy. This boy is found dead with a paper bag over his head and a smiley face drawn on it. And there's this urban legend about the smiling man who would wear a smiley face bag over his head and come across like crying girls and say, "I'll give you a smile that'll last forever." And then he kills them and puts a bag over their head and draws a smiley face on it. And I'm like, that's kind of creepy. I like that. It's very dark. So I am curious about how it all comes, what the mystery is, but I would like a little more interactivity as far as actually solving the mystery. So it makes me feel like maybe it's a good thing I didn't try to play the Famicom Detective Club games, because I'm more into like stuff like Ace Attorney, where you're actually doing things and figuring things out and examining clues and unlocking things and whatever. A little more action instead of just reading. That's all I ask for. So that is enough rambling for this episode. I will see you next time for more movies, games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. See you then. Bye!